compared two types of states, monarchies and republics. But monarchy, as we all know, also describes a form of government. And in that comparison, we would have to compare it to democracy. In a monarchy, sovereign authority resides with a monarch, and in a democracy, sovereign authority resides with the people of the state. So following that comparison, you made what I consider an absolutely astounding and radical claim that as human beings, monarchy represents, and this is your word, our natural form of government. And so the trend, as we all know, in terms of political evolution, historically and internationally, is towards greater and greater democracy. For example, Canadians are dying in Afghanistan in the efforts to establish democracy there. The country that I came from, India, was once a monarchy. It is now the largest democracy in the world. And that brings me to my question. Do you think this trend favoring democracy over other forms of government, including monarchy, is actually misguided and perhaps dangerous?
Gary.
Well, I have to disagree with your entire premise before I have your question. When you say that monarchy and democracy are opposites. This is the Republican myth. The point, as I mentioned, monarchy and republic deal with the nature of authority. Democracy is not about authority. Republicanism vests authority in the people. The democracy does not vest authority in the people. Look, Canada is as much of a democracy, if not more so, than the United States. And the United Kingdom is a democracy. Oh, it is. Yeah, and democracy.
Tell me this. Is our head of state part of our democracy?
Yes.
In the same way that I'm a part of it?
Yes. And you both came into existence through the same process, hereditary.
Then why do the democratic, why are our rights and freedoms different then?
What do you mean your rights and freedoms are different?
Well, for example, I have no option and I can never become the head of state, and yet that position is automatically bestowed on a British family. How are we then both equally part of the same democracy?
Well, you're talking about two different things.
No, I'm talking.
Yeah, no, you're talking about, again, the point is, you're defining democracy. You're defining democracy as the nature of the state. The idea that one can be elected head of state goes back to, what is the state? That's the question I was asking at the beginning. Now, the idea that someone, if you think of the state as, the state is the authority under which we all function. The idea that one can be the head of the state is such a megalomaniac concept. The idea that any one of us could present ourselves as being head of state is such an exalted position, it's almost assuming divine authority.
That's another radical opinion of yours.
I've been noted for having radical opinions. I'm not a conservative in that sense. You shouldn't be surprised. This is my point. Is that where republicanism tries to turn day-to-day activities and claim that there's some mystical quality behind it. Democracy has to do with how one governs day to day. And monarchies, if you look around the world, not just today, but throughout history, monarchies have been generally more democratic. You talk about the evolution of democracy.
Avoiding the question, I pointed out very early that in a monarchy, a sovereign authority resides with the monarch.
That's right, authority.
Democracy.
And no, that's not a democracy. I disagree with your definition of democracy. I don't think it's a valid definition of democracy.
Well, again, I'm giving you the definition that's widely accepted that you.
But that doesn't mean it's
that you would find in any commonly referred to authority like Wikipedia, like.
Wikipedia, thank you.
I would like to try and get Tom in here for his.
It's a wrong definition. Democracy is about power.
You're going to provide we're going to witness a correct definition for the very first time of democracy.
No, okay.
Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting is what countries are described in the world today as democracies? The United Kingdom, everyone describes as a democracy. Sweden is a democracy. Belgium is a democracy. Norway is a democracy. Liechtenstein's a democracy. Luxembourg's a democracy. Canada's a democracy. Australia's a democracy. Jamaica's a democracy. All of those countries are monarchies. Japan is a democracy.
Okay, Gary, I'm really going to have to cut you off now. So, Tom, for your response.
There are different degrees of democracy, and I guess your degree of democracy differs from ours. But I think what we also have to think about here is I'm paraphrasing here, but it's often been said that one of the more ridiculous aspects of monarchy is that it advocates that even the most imbecilic and someone with such a little amount of intelligence can be preferred as a monarch to an elected head of state who is of the highest quality and highest intelligence. And that just doesn't make sense. Choice is what democracy is all about. We can't, if we have a monarch who we don't like, we can't turf them out. We've got them for life, whether we like it or not. We have an elected head of state who messes up and we don't like them. We realize we made a mistake. They have a term. And we can tell them right off the bat, we don't want you, we want somebody else. That's what democracy is all about. Monarchy is counter to that.
You can't get rid of a president during the term. The damage that a president can do during the term, the term of the life. Life's a term. So, I mean, many monarchs, the reign is about the same length as many presidents. But again, the monarch, the monarch in a monarchy does not have power. The monarch has authority. And if you don't understand the difference between authority and
I'd like to have some choice in who I want representing Canada. And I don't want a monarch representing Canada. I think Canada deserves better.
Well, you don't want a monarch. I don't want a president. I mean, you talk about the brilliant people. Here. How many brilliant people get elected president in which countries? Please. I mean, there are the occasional. All you do is
look at the last few presidents of India. They've been nuclear physicists, and look at the last president of Trinidad and Tobago. They both evolved out of the British monarchy.
Yeah, you're talking about the people that exercise power. I mean, George Bush. I mean, he was.
Forget about the United States.
Why do we forget about the United States? Is the greatest republic in the world today. It has many virtues. You're talking about, for instance, you say we should have one of these other types of republic. If you're going to have a republic, the American republic is the best republic in the world. There's no question in my mind about that.
Maybe for you, but it's not the choice of Canadians.
I think the world is the most democratic.
I have to admit that our parliamentary democracy works pretty well. Okay, and that's what we want. We want a parliamentary republic.
Parliamentary republics don't work that well.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you.
Easily.
Hello, I would like to actually ask this question again to Gary. I'm addressing him. And this idea about monarchy versus republicanism, I find it actually a secondary issue. I think more of the issue is the degree of democracy and freedom. Many countries that do fare well, including are the Nordic countries, which both consist of monarchies and republic with high degree of democracy. Well, there's Norway and Sweden, which are monarchies, and there's the Republic of Finland, Republic of Iceland, and other there, which also fare pretty well. There's Federal Republic of Germany, not Nordic, but also a fairly democratic republic, amongst others, Switzerland, and it seems like other countries that do pretty poorly are the authoritarian regimes, which also are a mix of both. So it seems like, how would you address this issue?
Okay, before you respond, I'm just going to let you know I'm going to cut both of you off at 2 minutes, just so that we can get through the rest of the questions.
Well, again, as I said earlier, that when you compare the two, that I agree, people sometimes by the nature of the society are more inclined to democratic institutions than others. The Shah of Iran was once asked why he wasn't like the King of Sweden, and he said, I could be like the King of Sweden if my people were like the Swedes. So I think it's a fair point to make that I'm not suggesting that all republics are evil or that there's no democracy. The United States is a darn good country. My point is that countries that are monarchies are better in each of the categories than those that are republic. I think Canada is superior to the United States. I think in the Nordic countries you mentioned, the monarchy makes them better systems. Finland actually wanted to be a monarchy, but there was political reasons why they didn't become one. So it's not a matter of comparing perfection. Monarchies are not perfect, republics are not perfect, both have virtues. The question is, can you retain the virtues that Tom attributes to republicanism can all be achieved in a monarchy. There are additional virtues of monarchy that cannot be achieved in republicanism.
Thanks, Gary. Tom?
I'll repeat what I've said earlier, in that in a lot of instances,